Go.
What's going on, New Gaming Order? We back with our second segment. Make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe, and check out the first portion of this podcast where we talked about the Arkham Knight PC debacle. So as you can see, we have most of our staff members here, so we're gonna have a lot of opinions on this. But this next topic is geared towards Microsoft and the dismal sales of the Xbox One in Japan. Is being outsold by the PlayStation 3, like a past-gen console, mind you. The last sales chart only had it selling 100 units in Japan. It has a black cloud over it. I don't think Japan will ever accept an American-produced system. I think it's I don't know what to say about it in terms of like the 360 did a lot of catering. Microsoft catered to the Japanese, and it helped them in terms of slightly, like they only edged out the PS3, not by much, but it was still a victory nonetheless. Now they're not even getting any sort of DAP, nothing. They're not even throwing them a line or anything. The purpose of this segment is to ask the panel, can Microsoft exist with completely pulling out of Japan? Or is there any strategy that they can take to actually turn it around? You know, so I'm going to start with NYC Playboy, and then we'll work around the table. I know you're not a console person, but, I mean, what is it that Microsoft just doesn't have? Like, what is it? What switch are they not pulling to, you know, turn it around in Japan?
Well, the Japanese market is a very closed market to outside produced goods and services. You know, what you just said, just replace Xbox and Microsoft with Ford, GM, cars, electronics, or whatever. So you just told the whole story right there. I mean, they have such a nationalist culture about buying things made and produced in Japan by Japanese companies. So, you know, hey, yeah, it is what it is. You know, there are, I mean, when you look at the total market share of Japan versus, say, the United States, we got them by numbers. You know, and also look at Europe. The Xbox is doing really good in Europe and in the United States. So, Japan, but Microsoft is covering their bases just to say that they're not excluding any market, quote unquote. But hey, like I said, it is what it is. You know, I believe there's nothing that Microsoft can do to turn that around. It's just the nature of the beast of being in the Japanese market.
Now, you know what? This is just me, the whole patriot soldier mindset that they drilled into my head at basic training is the sense that, okay, Japan, you made a good point, is they're not very open to outsider goods, so to speak, in terms of this Xbox One. But yet, here in this country, you got, you know, the fanboys sitting there like Sony, and really elevating a Japanese company where it's like, you live here, why don't you support here as well? That it just baffles my brain. You know what I mean? This is outside of gaming. It's more or less like, okay.
It's the culture. It's the culture. Look at both cultures. Japan is a conformist culture. The United States is everyone's for themselves. You know, each person is an individual. You know, and hence there's your answer right there.
Okay, good point. All right, now, go Ken. What are your thoughts on the topic?
I don't think Xbox One really meets that market.
Okay.
To the point of NYC Playboy, the Japanese market. I mean, Japan. The way I see it, Japan is like a subsidiary of the United States. So whether or not people are Sony fanboys, Sony doesn't benefit without the U.S. Japan really doesn't have anything without us. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Like they could close their market and sell whatever they want for themselves inside their country, but it doesn't gain them any capital. So they need us. You know what I'm saying? Sony is most probably 50% owned by America. Or same thing with all the other Japanese companies. So I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of a loss, but like you said, they have Europe, they got America, they're gonna have South America. I mean, at this point, I don't think it matters. Why even try to save it? If Microsoft had more if they owned more developers, right? They owned EA or whatever, maybe. But
EA, what the heck? Unbelievable.
You understand what I'm saying? Like they own AAA developers. If they had a whole bunch of titles that were Microsoft owned titles that were enticing for foreign countries. Then maybe, but they don't have that, right?
They tried with the 360 though. There was a lot of games that it just didn't work.
But again, it doesn't matter if they don't sell great. And it's such a small market. You know what I'm saying?
This is true, but the developers are there.
Yeah, and the console market's drying up there as well. There's not much future for that anymore. There's a lot of portables there.
Yeah,
portable or mobile.
Okay. So for the sake of time, Khalif, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, with Microsoft in Japan, like there's really not much they can do, because just like you guys were saying earlier, with just how the Japanese operate, they spend their money with their people. They spend their money on Japanese-based products. I think that if they had more developers making games, exclusive to Xbox One. Some Japanese RPGs like they put on the Vita and like they used to do on the PlayStation and stuff like that. I think that they would have a lot more of a chance to make sales out there, but it doesn't seem like they try. When I think of Xbox, Microsoft, I think of Call of Duties, I think of the big name games. You don't think about those small Japanese RPGs.
But on the 360, you had Lost Odyssey, you had Blue Dragon. They
had a couple.
They were trying. They were trying.
You had a couple, but again, it kind of goes back to how a lot of just like what you guys were saying earlier. You guys were dancing around the subject there with just how Americans, we don't care. Like I don't care who makes what. If it's good, I don't care. If it's made by Americans, Japanese, European, I don't care. Like if it's good and it's quality, I want it. I don't care who I give my money to as long as I get what I'm paying for. With the Japanese in particular, and other countries out there, they find pride in spending their money with their own people. It's more of a loyalist type of thing. It's more being loyal to your country and all that stuff like that.
It seems like they're just not open-minded with it,
right.
So
and all right. I think that if they gave it a shot, I think that if they gave the Xbox One a fair shot out there, a lot of people would probably like it. I mean, they Japanese and they get a lot of our stuff and they import it out there just like we do with them. So I mean, I think if they gave it a shot, they would probably like it, but. Just like we were saying earlier on your knees, what we were saying with the mobile market is what it is out there. Everybody's on trains and buses playing either a 3DS, a Vita, or their phone. So the console market is unless Microsoft goes into the mobile market, that's probably the only way to even get them to look at Microsoft. But I don't think there's really much they can do.
Okay. Takuma, what are your thoughts?
Man, is this even relevant to what the hell we talking about? Who cares if Japan is not doing anything with Microsoft? They ain't gonna lose no money. Matter of fact, bring them jobs over here. America need them. Who gives a damn?
All right.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Moving on. Shinmar, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, they're it's the culture over there, man. They're loyalists. That's how the culture is, and that's how always, it's always been like that. It'd be great if the Xbox One could really just break ground over there, but Sony got that thing on lock in regards to their product.
And Nintendo
and Nintendo too, right? And Nintendo's been like that for years. Years, but when the PlayStation came on the scene, and you know what, even the Dreamcast had a market over there, and with the Sega arcades and everything, and then when the Dreamcast came over here, it failed. It didn't do good. So it's just the way the market is. But like Khalif said, it's like, If it's hot, it's hot. I don't care who made it. If it's somebody from Europe, Japan, stateside.
Japan don't care though. It can be a great game. That's how I perceive it. It can be a kick-ass game, but being that it's produced over here, they will not even look at it. That's
For example, Mortal Kombat, an American-made fighting game. Killer Instinct, American-made fighting game. Not gonna do so well over there. It's not gonna be that well received. But it's funny when it's vice versa. It's like that's the mecca of video games, Japan.
Mm-hmm.
We get everything from there. Their arcades flourish while our arcades here died out. We got a few remnants going around. So that's just the culture, man. That's the way the culture is. But I would love to see an American-made system flourish and do well over there.
Okay. So, Noop, what are your thoughts, man?
It's like y'all said, it's a cultural thing. They're different type of gamers in general, and then you have to look at it. This is something that a lot of people don't think about, which is why I like to give Microsoft a lot of props. Sony had their roots very deep dug into the gaming community. When PlayStation 1 was out, that was it. There were other systems, but
they picked up where Nintendo left off pretty much, because it was the Nintendo PlayStation, the add-on, and they just picked up where Nintendo left off.
Them and Nintendo were like, that was it. And then the PS2 was just one of the greatest systems ever, if not the greatest system ever.
Greatest, definitely.
I mean, that library, and then there were so many games and so many franchises that were exclusive to Sony. And they're just, like you said, they're loyalists. Sony has that background. Then you had the original Xbox, and people are like, oh, something new. Then 360, they're like, oh, okay, really? Y'all starting to whoop up on Sony. Hold on. But Sony still has those roots, man, and they just held on. It's like Sony is that old faithful. It's that old faithful, man, and people are always going to love it. And it's just, I mean, it's Japanese, man. I mean, what are you going to do?
Okay. On your knees, your thoughts.
I think most of it's already been said.
Okay.
It is a xenophobic culture. They don't, they like they're notorious savers. They only want to spend money on their own things. And I mentioned it earlier, the mobile market's what's making it big there. The console market's shrinking dramatically. It's nowhere near the size it was even 1 or 2 generations ago. Arcades are still big there, but otherwise it's all about the mobile market. So, Microsoft may eventually get into it, but I don't think they will. They got enough shit on their plate as it is. And they don't. And
with the mobile market, like you said, I think in part that's why the Wii U had a lot of issues, because the whole tablet thing.
No, Wii U had a lot of issues because Nintendo fucked up.
Okay. All right, fair enough. And Nelson, you still going, Chris?
No, I was just going to say Nintendo, I think we already touched on this, but Nintendo definitely treated the current generation like the last one, and that's where they fucked up.
They got to adapt or die, like many YouTubers say out there. But Nelson, you got the final leg on this.
Well, as what everyone was mentioning, you really don't need the Japan support for Microsoft at all, because it's doing very well in North America, it's doing very well in Europe. So I don't think, honestly, Japan was giving them like a big enough push, because again, we tried sending units out there, and then they're still on their first shipment that we sent out, so no one's really been buying it. So let's be realistic, all right? It's only for a small market out there. For them, they're mostly with the whole PC, Sony, Nintendo, and the mobile market. Again, that's their choice. That's fine. You don't have to like everything. But again, Microsoft is doing just fine, because, mind you, Microsoft is not just gaming. It deals with everything else.
Yeah, indeed.
So again,
I wouldn't be surprised if the Japanese people that bought the Xbox One just bought it just to say, I got an Xbox One. Maybe just like
they're probably collectors.
Yeah, like collectors and shit.
They're like
they probably haven't played it.
Well, again, all I can say on this is that the people who do have an Xbox One in Japan mainly play Destiny.
Oh wow!
Mainly play Destiny.
Oh, hey.
Because it's an MMO sort of feel, and that's the hot button out there in Japan. Mobile games, MMOs, and RPGs.
And internet cafes or gaming cafes.
Yeah, whatever you wanna.
But with that new gaming order, hopefully you believe, and we're gonna hit one final topic before we do our PSAs.
Okay.
It's a Bo Dallas thing. You know, shout out to Vinny, one of
think
NGO Bacon.
Alex needs to go back to school and take some English lessons.
What? Look, English was my first language. I learned it from
bullshit.
Sucker. Anyway, new gaming order. Make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for joining us for this segment. We got one more, and then we're going to PSAs. So rate, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next segment. Peace.